episode 615 of Good Luck High Five. It's a magical podcast for anybody who loves magical things, most notably Magic the Gathering, the card game, the trading card game.
Truly the most notable of the magic things in the context of this podcast, I think.
So true. I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another host, Tyler.
Guess what, everybody? Tyler's back.
Uh-oh.
You didn't think you'd hear from him so soon. You were wrong. To be fair, Megan said, it's been a tough chunk of time for Megan. She didn't know she was going to get COVID and that her cat would pass. And she took an impromptu vacation to feel a little better about those things.
Much deserved, much needed.
And Tyler's stepping in again. So thank you again, Tyler, for being
so
here.
Welcome. Yeah.
I'm so excited. We have other exciting news to share with you about the show, which is we have a new audio board.
Hey.
And it comes complete with sound effects, Tyler.
I know. I can't really even imagine. I was going to say, I can't imagine how good that's going to be, but then it happened and it was even better than
it's just like magical. Don't you think?
Now I do.
Yeah. So everyone, get used to that, I guess. 'Cause
if it's possible.
I'm just not going to stop doing it. So sorry, not sorry. But this is also a very exciting episode this week because we've got Judge Rob on to talk to us about Foundations, the new set that is pre-releasing. Drum roll, please. Wow, I didn't put a drum roll on here.
Oh my gosh,
missed opportunity.
Truly. Well, I mean, it's always good to leave yourself room to grow, though. If you don't want to do everything perfect right away.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't put a drum roll on here. That's my bad, I guess.
It really worked out though, in the end. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pre-release time again, believe it or not. I think this is what's going to feel like in 2026 with all those
I
six
think
standard
it's been
sets.
like a month and a half or something.
And Foundations is coming out. I hope you head out to your local game stores this weekend. We will be doing so to play the pre-release. The set is akin to core sets of the past, which were simpler sets that are friendly for new people getting into Magic. So if you've got some buds that you've been meaning to teach Magic, you can drag them out to your pre-release by force and have them make them have a good
ask
time.
them nicely, and they may
Sure,
say yes.
There's two ways.
Yeah.
There's always two ways to do things.
At least.
My way or Tyler's way. Both with equally great results.
100%.
Now they know how to play Magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they'll be equally thankful, I'm sure.
Oh yes, absolutely. Whether Stockholm Syndrome or friendship, you get to choose which path you want to walk in life.
They don't, but you do. No.
Yes, precisely. But there's plenty in here for us and franchise players as well. There's a bunch of new cards, not just reprints. And Judge Rob is going to come on to talk to us about all of those cards and some tricky situations you might find yourself in at a pre-release so that you feel ready when you head on out to sling those 40 cards.
Yeah.
Tyler,
and please just use 40 cards.
Yeah. Don't do 41. Like I probably will. Do as I do. Wait.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Not as I do. No. This is going to be your first in-person pre-release, Tyler.
That is actually true. I think we pre-COVID we were talking about like very like early 2020. Basically, we were like, hey, let's go to a pre-release. And I was like, that sounds great. And then COVID happened. And I am definitely on the cautious side of the COVID spectrum for sure. And that was a part of it. And there were also just some things that came up, at various times when we would try to go. So it's been like 4 years in the making. And I'm excited to go for sure.
What are you most excited for?
I've really been enjoying, I've played a lot because I also got into Magic right around when the lockdown periods began, a little bit before that, but close to that.
Yeah.
I really have experienced a lot of arena Magic and not as much in-person Magic, and both through Commander Arcade and through some, really mostly through you, Maria, I've experienced some in-person Magic, and I've really enjoyed that. I won't go into the whole story, but like I was talking to someone recently and we were talking about screens and just kind of like people being on screens or like children being on screens, and like TV, all of that stuff. And they were talking about how a lot of the negative effects of something like, if you're just like watching a movie by yourself versus doom scrolling too, but like anything that you're doing involving screens, if you're doing it in a group, it really takes away a lot of the negative aspects of it, or a lot of the things that tend to like stick with you in a negative way. So I've really been taking that to heart lately, and I feel like that's true of Magic as well.
Oh, so, I'm so excited for you
for the gathering, as they say.
To experience the magic of the gathering. Yes, it's going to be so fun, everybody. So yeah, we'll talk about Foundations, returning mechanics. It's all returning mechanics, and some new rules changes that are happening with Foundations that you're going to want to know about heading into your pre-release. Rob is going to cover all of that, including the kind of complicated, which is not really that complicated, but it sounds complicated, the blocking change that we talked about a little bit last week on the show. We're going to go into that in more detail and kind of the history of it, which I think is kind of cool as well. And a note before we get into more of the show is, for everybody who lives in the U.S., we are recording this podcast before the election. So whatever has happened, we don't know about it.
And we can't be held responsible.
Yes. So I'm sorry if our mood is not correct.
Yeah, truly.
But hopefully, I hope it is. But whatever. We're going to see. We are in the blissful past. Well, I actually should.
Or maybe, I mean,
it's not very blissful right now.
Let's be optimistic and say that it's going to feel like a positive thing.
Yes. I'm nauseously optimistic.
Hey, that's the best any of us can hope for, I think.
Indeed. So, yes. Thank you for being here with us, no matter what happens. And we'll always be here for you too, working towards making a better life for everybody on this planet in the little ways that we can. And one of those ways is hopefully making you have a good week every week you listen to Good Luck High Five.
Yeah.
So thank you for being with us as well this week. Before we kick off the show, we've got to do our thank yous. And our first thank you is always to our patrons, who we could not do the show without. So thank you so much, patrons. If you want to join our patronage and become a member of the Good Luck High Five family, the Good Luck High family.
Well, it does kind of work. I mean,
on some days.
And I'm saying the letters still work as well. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Something there, maybe.
Go to patreon.com/GLHF Magic. We have a bunch of different tier levels for you, starting from just $2 a month. Whatever you feel like you want to support the show with, we are happy to be there right there with you. We've got a lot of great perks, longer episodes, early episode releases, ad-free episodes, our Discord server, etc., available to you. And one of those perks is if you donate at the $5 a month level or more, or increase your pledge, you get a pun shout out on the show. So we've got some puns this week that we are so very happy to announce. First up, we want to say thank you to Josh.
Hey, thank you, Josh.
Thank you so much, Josh. Josh, it doesn't work with gosh because it just sounds like the same thing.
What about thank you so much, and we're not joshing?
Oh, very good. All right. There you go, Josh. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you to DJ. If I was listening to you on a radio station, you'd be my favorite DJ. You're the DJ of this show.
Or like, I think of like Dijon mustard. Like, I don't know if DJ likes mustard, or if Jay has any relationship to John whatsoever. But if it did, I feel like that one could work as well.
Great one. Thank you, DJ. Thank you. Thank you as well to Zach. I feel like the last Zach I said, you gave me a heart of Zach because you donated, so I can't say that one again, even though it was like really good.
There's like, what about like Zackety Zach, don't Zach back? And by don't Zach back, we mean do come back and
listen
continue
again.
to be a patron as well. Zackety Zach, please come back.
Please come back. We're so thankful to you.
Yeah.
As well as Annie. Thank you so much, Annie. Big high fives for Annie. Annie, don't get your gun. Not only is that not a pun, it's a theater reference.
It really is.
Which nobody will get.
And also, what is the gun doing in this scenario? Nothing good, I feel like. So I guess it works in that sense, but like...
Annie, we weren't planning on you being a patron, but now that you are, we love you.
And I can't think of anybody better.
Tyler, you've just schooled me in every single one of these puns. I need to fire myself.
Oh, God.
Tyler accidentally became important at work and it's ruining his life. Thank you so much, all of you new patrons.
Truly.
We just could not do it without you. Patreon.com/GLHF Magic. We also want to say thank you to Card Kingdom. You can head over to cardkingdom.com/GLHF right now. You can pre-order yourself some foundations. It comes out tomorrow if you're listening to this podcast on the day it's released. So that's something you can do, but it's going to be one day. So pretty soon you'll just be able to order it. You know what I'm saying?
But if you like that feeling of having, pre-ordered something,
indeed,
just do it quickly.
And if you go to your pre-release and you open a bunch of cards that you're not going to use, you can turn them in to cards you do want to use through Card Kingdom and their store credit program, which is very nice. If there's cards that come out in foundations that you're looking for your commander deck or something, you can order them from Card Kingdom. They'll come to your house in one package, which is very nice. If you're still thinking about Duskmourn, they also have the Duskmourn House of Horror Nightmare bundle, which looks like that TV set, which is very cool.
Very cool, yeah.
So check that out, which if you've been waiting for that product to drop, because I think it is so sweet. If you tilt the TV, like a different image appears on it.
I mean,
it's the little things.
Why even play with the cards? You know what I mean?
I'm easily amused. Check them out, cardkingdom.com/GLHF. And finally, we want to say thank you to Dragon Shield for being our amazing sleeve sponsor on this show. They've released some new sleeves, which are their special edition matte dual sleeves, which are so dope. They're one color on the outside and another color on the inside. Okay, so they've got rose gold on one side and gold on the inside, and the other one is like blue with an icy silver on the inside. So your card will have a nice little like gold rim around it inside the sleeve, and the back will be rose gold. I think that's very cool.
Truly.
I don't know another sleeve that's done this, but Dragon Shield has done it, everybody. And if you want to check those out, you can use the link below this video or in our show notes and use code GLHF for 5% off. So go try them out. I certainly am going to try and get my hands on some of these sleeves. Those look pretty cool because my decks deserve to be golden. That's how good they are.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's a science fact. That's foundational to Magic. Now who's good at puns, Tyler?
Well, you are.
Now that's Stockholm Syndrome. Before we get on with the show, we want to tell you that we do have a new episode of Commander Arcade that is out and ready for you to view if you're interested. It is a fabulous episode, and it's Halloween themed, but don't worry, all year can be spooky if you make it that way.
You can never stop being scared if that's what you want.
Just go to youtube.com/@GLHFCommander to check it out. We each make a Commander deck based on our favorite horror movie, which is just a delightful premise, I think, for a Commander game. And we have just a really delightful game. At one point, the game breaks down and everybody at the table is like basically crying. They're laughing so hard. It is something to do with me and a mistake I may or may not have made multiple times during the game.
Yeah.
So for no other reason, you should check it out. We also filmed a Scream sketch at the beginning of the video, which is very cool.
Fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that.
So you got to see the beginning of the video because it's really good. But I play with the deck based on Suspiria, my favorite horror movie, which I'm sure I've talked about on the show a number of times. Tyler plays with the deck based on The Thing, which is very cool.
Classic.
Megan plays one based on Scream, and our friend Aaron plays one based on Troll 2, which is bad movie aficionados.
Yeah,
come on. Come on.
One of the all-timers.
It is definitely one of the all-timers, and we have such a blast. So go check out that episode of Commander Arcade if you haven't already. It's a hoot. Hey everyone, we have Judge Rob here with us. Welcome, Judge Rob.
Hello.
You're going to talk Foundations, the Foundations pre-release.
Yeah, the Foundations pre-release. I'm excited for this set. I love core sets. My favorite core set is Origins. My second favorite is 5th edition, which 5th edition's an objectively bad set, but it's the core set I started with. So,
that's a great
I love it anyways.
Yeah. And this hasn't been billed directly as a quote unquote core set. It certainly is, as it's meant for beginners and people getting into Magic. But likewise, it also has some very fun things for Magic players who've been playing for a long time too. In there, a lot of special little gifts that have been thrown in too. So everyone should have a fun time with this set. Is the idea?
Yeah, a lot of fun reprints, a lot of things when you look at them, you go, wow, I loved this card. Wait, I do love this card. All right, I will play this card.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about here with Rob is the big changes that are happening with Foundations, most notably a rules change singular involving blockers.
Yeah, the blockers change. So this has been all over the place in the Magic infosphere. And it's been talked about. It's fairly straightforward. We're reverting back to pre-5th edition or to pre-6th edition rules, which doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah,
It's straightforward in how opaque it is.
Yeah, well, it's very straightforward as what's happening. Is there used to be, as blockers were declared, somebody would pick what creatures are blocking, and then the attacker would also make a choice. The attacker would choose what order those blockers would be ordered if there were multiple blockers blocking the same attacker. So if the old way, I attacked with a 4/4, and you put a 2/2 and a 3/3 in front of it, at that time, I would choose which one would be taking damage first. Then we'd have a set of priority passes, and then damage would happen. And then at that point, you would assign damage based on the order that they were put in. That is going away. There's no choice for the attacker during declare blockers. We get the priority pass, and then when we go to damage, at that time, they can assign damage freely amongst all blocking creatures. So in that circumstance where 4/4 is attacking and it's blocked by a 2/2 and a 3/3, you can choose which one will be taking how much damage. You might assign it 2 damage to the 3/3 and 2 to the 2/2, leaving 1 damage on the 3/3. You might assign 3 to the 3/3 and 1 to the 2/2, but the defending player doesn't know which one is going to get killed. And that the way that it used to be is you would know. You'd line up, you'd say, I want to kill this 2/2 first. Then they would be able to cast a giant growth. They'd make that 2/2 into a 5/5, and then neither creature would die. Now the blocker will have to choose. They're going to have to say, well, I want to save my 2/2. So I'm going to giant growth the 2/2. And then the attacker will be like, all right, that's fine. I'll assign all my damage to the 3/3.
So there's no opportunity for me to respond if my opponent has already assigned the damage.
Yes. Once you say, hey, pick the way the damage is going to be assigned, you don't get to respond anymore. It's assigned and then happens right away, and it's split up by the attacker at that point right away as freely as they want amongst all the blockers. When I say historically, this is the way that it worked back in 5th edition. It's the way that it worked before 6th edition, before the stack existed in old rules with batches and interrupts and all that.
I can't even imagine Magic without the stack. I gotta be real with you.
The stack is one of the best game design principles that's ever been added to the game.
Truly.
But
also one of the best pancake design principles.
It's true. Put them in a stack, and you lift each one off, and you spread your butter on each one.
Man, they used to put them all on a plate. They'd put one over here, one over here, one over here.
And there wasn't enough table room. It was like one person took up a whole table. You know, it really was.
It was awful.
It really was.
So
awful,
anyway, so good innovation.
Good
and the
design.
pancake people got that from the Magic people.
They did.
From what I understand. Yeah,
that's correct.
Yep.
Mr.
Causality.
Pancake himself.
Yep. The original Pancake House learned from Magic. So I was going to say, going back to the reason that damage was so. Damage used to, during 6th edition until M10, it was an object on the stack. It was the only thing that wasn't a spell or ability that went on the stack as an item. And the reason for this is cards like Healing Salve and Samite Healer. They allowed you to prevent damage. And so you need to know how much damage is being dealt to which things. And during 5th edition rules, there was a damage prevention window where you could play damage prevention effects anytime damage happened. You lightning bolted a creature, and then it would make a damage prevention window during which Samite Healer could be used to prevent a point of damage. Samite Healer is a creature. It's a 1/1 for white and 1 that taps to prevent a damage to a creature or player. And so they had this damage prevention window, and they put damage on the stack to mirror that effect so that you could choose to prevent damage because it was a lot more prevalent at that time. Samite Healer was in core sets all the way up through 10th edition. And so it was really prevalent that you'd need to know how damage was being assigned to prevent damage. The side effect of damage going in the stack was that you could respond to damage and you could do things. Mog Fanatic suddenly, when damage went on the stack, get a lot better. People talk about how good Mog Fanatic was. It was not printed at a time when damage went on the stack. It was printed before damage went on the stack, and then got better once damage went on the stack. Because then you could, before this damage would get assigned, and then it would resolve. But you'd get priority in between before. So you could sacrifice Mog Fanatic after it had already assigned a damage, but before that damage had resolved. Then they did another rules hack in M10 where they said, look, we want to still preserve the same functionality. Don't know why. They weren't really printing any strong damage prevention effects.
Sure.
But they really wanted it to mirror the way that it had been from 6th edition through M10. And they said, okay, so now you're going to order blockers. You're going to put them in a conga line, and you have to deal damage down the row in order to kill each independent one. Mm-hmm. And this is a rules hack to make it behave the same as a different rules hack that didn't exactly behave the same. And now they're just killing it all. They're saying, whatever. If you have damage prevention effects, which hardly come up anymore, then I guess you got to use them in advance. Advantage goes back to the attacker because blocking was very powerful. And honestly, it was always complicated. And every time I asked somebody, could you order blockers? They'd be like, what do you mean? But honestly, most people just didn't play that way anyways.
I think this one's hottest, and then this one.
Yeah.
And that is how Arena treats it as well, unless you get into the settings. They also,
if you go to total control, it's just like, I'll pick for you.
Yeah. Unless you have it set up, it's just going to be assigned automatically.
Yep. But this does make attacking better. There'll be circumstances like there's a pyroclasm style effect in the set that's 2 damage to each creature. You might attack with a 3/3 and they block with 3 different 3/3s. They're like, I want to get it. And you're like, oh, great. I'm going to assign 1 damage to each. My creature's going to die. And then I'm going to cast this 2 damage to each creature.
Nice.
And then it's going to kill all of yours. This can come up. It doesn't come up as much as you might think. Like ordering blockers, like the reason it came up most was honestly Menace, because then they would be like, if they wanted to block, they'd have to double block. And trust me, I use this to my advantage a ton. I would line up multiple blocks. I would let them, line them up in a certain way, play a combat trick on defense, save both my creatures with 1 trick. It was really good.
Yeah.
But I don't think it, like, from a game design perspective, it was a clunky rule that was hard to explain or understand. There was a partial fix that was special just for this in the infraction procedure guideline for competitive events. It doesn't need to be there. It's not load bearing.
I agree. Get rid of that post.
Yep.
We don't need it.
Yep.
No, I think anything to simplify the game and make it easier for people to understand what's happening is a good change, and nice to roll it out with Foundations too, as we hopefully will have a bunch of new players joining us with this set too.
Yeah. And this is the way that, honestly, when I explain things to new players, I just have them do it this way. I would just have I'm like, I'm not going to bother teaching you how to order blockers. That's the other thing is, like,
I don't even teach people what blocking is because, quite frankly, why?
Well,
I'm just going to attack and you're going to die. And I mean, like, that's the
but
game.
I want them to attack me, and then I want the advantage from being able to block them.
Oh,
So,
I see.
Yeah.
Sure. To each their own.
Yep. Because, The other thing is that this is similar to Mana Burn, and that it's something you had to teach them during the basic, like, layout of the way the rules worked. It's like, this is fundamental to combat. Yeah. Also, it's useless.
Yeah.
So anything that you have to explain, like, here's the thing that's fundamental to this part of gameplay. Also, you will never use it, is not something
That's
that
why we
matters.
still keep teaching people about the upkeep. You know what I mean? Hashtag sarcasm.
Well, the upkeep.
No, we're not getting into it. Rabbit hole.
Yep.
The one thing I'll say about this change is I'm curious to see if they will buff combat tricks anymore. I would say for sure they have been
that's a good
buffing
point.
combat tricks some, especially in the context of limited environments in recent years. And I'll be curious to see if they go any further with that, because I do love combat tricks, and I do think this is more than anything else. This is a nerf to combat tricks.
Yeah, it's a nerf to combat tricks on blocking for sure.
Yeah.
So you want to see, Tyler, them have more utility in attacking?
Yeah, or just maybe be like a turn the knob just a little bit farther up, because there is now a lot, it's true that most of the time you're using combat tricks when attacking. I think that's fair to say. But anytime you were wanting to use it on blocking, it is now much worse.
Sure.
Well, I would argue I use the most on blocking. And on blocking, I got more control.
Sure.
Because I, like, when I'm attacking, I don't know whether or not they're going to block me.
Sure.
It was an insurance policy in my hand, but, like, on blocking, have you ever skullduggered somebody when you block? Like, man, it feels really good.
Yeah. I am sad about this change only from the perspective of, like, those moments when it does feel like a part of the game where you get to feel really clever when you get into that situation where you have, like, they've assigned all their, they've assigned damage to the 2/3, and then you give
Pump
it
it
+3
up.
or something, and then it doesn't die, and then they are really blown out of that combat for sure. So, yeah.
So this change triggers with the pre-release this weekend?
Yes.
Rob?
As soon as you can play Foundations cards, this change will be in effect for for everything.
Excellent.
So that is as soon as you start pre-releasing on maybe as soon as Friday, you'll be able to use this change.
Okay.
And it will, like at the pre-release, it didn't actually come up. We had an extended discussion about it near the end of round 3, but it wasn't actually relevant to any of the matches in the pre-release. So
what other changes do you have to tell us about?
So
Sir Rob?
there's a templating change. You'll see this all over the place. Cards now refer to themselves with this card instead of their name. So Burst Lightning. I have 2 versions of Burst Lightning in here. The original Burst Lightning text, we don't care about anything else except that it says, if Burst Lightning was kicked, it deals 4 damage to that creature or player instead. I'm going to cut out everything but that. But the new version of Burst Lightning in this set says, if this spell was kicked, it deals 4 damage instead. That's it. They're just cutting out anytime a card refers to itself by name, it just says this now. It might be this card, it might be this permanent, it might be whatever, but it's this thing. So this spell for Burst Lightning.
I suppose that's helpful if the card name is long, but if it was short, well.
This is also, it helps with a piece of ambiguity. It's not just card text length, and almost every card has more than 4 letters in it, right?
True.
Speak for yourself. Damn.
OKK. That's a 3-letter.
That's a card. Damn, everybody. I'm not just swearing to swear. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But
Someone's got to take this thing away from me.
Yeah, dangerous for sure.
You're in charge.
I know.
Like you're the only one who can stop yourself.
Yeah, that I think in this situation that is actually true.
And I've all gas, no brakes, baby.
I was gonna say it clears up a piece of ambiguity. You can actually see it in the set. There's a card, Heir Apparent, which is white and 1 for a creature rabbit noble. It's a 2/2, and it says when this creature enters, so it uses the this templating. Create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to the number of other creatures you control named Heir Apparent. So it's actually referring to itself by name. What that means is it actually means the card named Heir Apparent, other things. This is a piece of ambiguity. Previously, it has said when Heir Apparent enters, create a number of equal to the number of creatures
I see. So it's like this card specifically, as opposed to cards that are like if you have another copy of it in your hand or whatever.
And so, it's things that have the name Heir Apparent.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if this is somehow had its name changed because it was copied by Sakashima the Imposter or something that copies something that keeps its own name.
Yeah.
This still will refer to only specifically things named Heir Apparent on the battlefield.
Okay.
The last thing on Heir Apparent is a deck can have any number of cards named Heir Apparent.
I know you're very interested in this card,
I'm very interested in this card. I'm firing my Relentless Rats deck for this. But
I mean, it's cuter for sure.
Oh, yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. That's a cutie patootie right there.
Truly.
But the point,
so regal.
Yeah, the point being, though, is that cards that refer to their own name in text like this mean cards with this exact specific name, not cards that share a name with me. And so that clears up that ambiguity, because now you can say, well, this means this object. And anything that refers to something by name now means things with that specific name.
All right.
So,
well, fair enough.
We have this set also has quite a bit of reminder text because this is intended for newer players. Reminder text is going to be all over the place. Swiftblade Vindicator has a humongous wall of it because it has 3 keyword abilities. But the one thing that I want to note is that this reminder text extends to Trample. And the Trample reminder text in this set is different from previous reminder texts. So like if you look at Crash Through, it's single red for a sorcery. It says creatures you control gain Trample until end of turn. And it has reminder text. Each of those creatures can deal excess combat damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. And then it says draw a card as well.
Interesting.
Yep. This is a lie. I just want to be clear. Reminder text is not rules text. Reminder text is vibes. Reminder text is what this card kind of does. You can go look up the rules. You can go look up the rules for it. This is not actually how Trample works. We'll get into it. There's a card that makes this relevant later in the set. But when you're looking at the reminder text, this just gives you a reminder kind of how this mostly functions. Another small thing, the enchantments in this set all have the frame from Theros.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and so you can see immediately if a card's an enchantment, it's got the Nyx style star frame on the outside edge.
I wonder if they're going to keep doing that moving forward.
I hope so.
It is nice.
Yeah.
The thing is that I wish that they would have less alternate frames overall.
Well,
so,
yeah,
so
that's,
things like this won't. Because
that's moot.
Right. I know it's moot, but like if different card types had different frames like this and they didn't do a pile of alternate frames, it would make the game much easier.
Yeah, for sure. It would. And in case you're not familiar with this or you're listening to the audio and you don't know what that frame looks like, it just looks like it's got a bunch of little pretty little stars around the edge of it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just a star field on the outside edge, and it'll make enchantment creatures a lot easier to read. There's also the standard rotation stuff that is changing. They announced this change at Vegas, and it means that cards are going to be in standard for forever. So the first rotation, summer 2025, is going to have a rotation. And that's going to rotate out Dominaria United, Brothers War, Phyrexia All Will Be One, and March of the Machine, and March of the Machine Aftermath. And then future rotations after that are going to be slated to the first set of the calendar year. They always used to rotate with the October or fall set.
Right.
They're just moving it to sync up with the calendar year, which honestly I think is quite a bit better. I don't know why this wasn't done years ago. Like rotations syncing to the calendar year just
makes sense. Makes sense on some
It's just
level,
intuitive.
yeah.
And so then the first rotation after summer 2025 will be February of 2027. So
sorry, that's just weird.
No, it's very far out.
Yeah,
but if you think about it, it would be fall of 2026. So they're pushing it back 3 months.
Sure.
They're not even really doing a lot of push on that standard rotation. It's going to rotate a bunch of stuff, but that's because we're at like 6 sets a year or something.
So in February 2027, we're going to rotate out Wilds of Eldraine, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, Murders at Karlov Manor, Outlaws of Thunder Junction with big score, Bloomburrow, and Duskmourn.
Yep. Which is a huge rotation. Look forward to that someday. And Foundations itself, they said, will be legal until at least 2029.
Yeah, so this is a special legality that goes along with this set?
Yeah, Foundations is designed to anchor a bunch of consistent effects into standard. And it's something that core sets kind of tried to do in the past and then kind of failed at. So there would be times when, a Banishing Light effect wouldn't exist. White wouldn't have that escape hatch of being able to remove any permanent at 3 mana. And so they'd be like, well, this core set doesn't really want Banishing Light. And then they'd rotate it away. And they'd be like, oh no, Bloodbraid Elf, that's really good. And so is Jace the Mind Sculptor. What did we do?
Oopsies.
Yeah. And so they're just like, look, we want a bunch of staple effects that make sure that standard has a baseline for stuff. So when you look at a lot of the cards and they're like, fine, that's kind of the point in a lot of cases, because they're supposed to be like the fallback effect if everything rotates away and you're like, well, I really need some kind of white removal. I guess I get to play Banishing Light because it's there. Yep, that's kind of the point of some of these mid-tier cards. I kind of hope that there's some kind of, in a couple years, refresh of Foundations of some sort that makes it worth drafting again.
Foundations 2, the Resurrection.
Sure.
Why did it die? I don't know.
Yeah. I just want a reason for people to get excited for sets.
Yeah.
But if they only do this every 5 years, that's probably also fine. Like, this isn't something that needs to be reevaluated every year, like core sets. The core sets were every other year for a long time, but it was still just kind of like, woo, we're going to put all the staple effects back in again. They were mostly undraftable, I guess. They were fine, but they were all reprints. Foundations is the new card thing, which it gets to do and does really well, I think.
Yeah.
So now what's going to happen, Rob, is we're going to go through some returning mechanics.
Yeah.
And there's quite a
few.
of
I
them.
only have cards and callouts for 2 of them.
Okay, great.
Every mechanic in this set is a returning mechanic. There's no new mechanics overall. There's one that hasn't been around in sets for a little while. I wanted to make sure that people knew how it worked. Raid.
Sure.
So Goblin Borders here is red and 2. It's a 3/2 creature goblin pirate. Raid. This creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it if you attacked this turn.
Easy enough.
Easy enough. Raid just means, did you attack? It's a binary thing, and the game knows about it, even if something isn't on the battlefield. So if you have something that has at the beginning of your end step, do a thing if you attack this turn with Raid, doesn't matter if that was on the battlefield or not. Just like Goblin Borders, the game will, when it asks, did this player attack? It'll say yes. So it knows regardless. Kicker, which has been on and off for a little bit. I just wanted to make sure people know what exists. So Sun Blessed Healer here is white and 1 for a 3/1 creature human cleric. It has Kicker of white and 1. And it says you may pay an additional white and 1 as you cast this spell. It has lifelink. And when this creature enters, if it was kicked, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Kicker is just you may pay this additional cost once. If you do an extra thing, it makes the spell better. Into the royal bounce, it like draws you a card when it's kicked. This resurrects a small thing when it's kicked. My pro tip for Kicker is if you want maximum value out of your spells, you're going to be greedy. You're going to wait till turn 4. Some Blessed Healer is really good on turn 2 because it's a 3/1 lifelinker. If you have the lower mana cost, I think all the Kicker spells in this set are costed so that they're actually quite good without Kicker. The Kicker is just some extra bonus value. So when you're playing them in limited, play them without Kicker sometimes. They'll be great.
I just want to note that if you're a newer player, and once you understand Kicker, the good news is you know what every mechanic does.
Yeah, yeah.
As the joke is, everything is Kicker.
Yeah. Well over half the mechanics in Magic are paying additional cost for an additional effect.
Yes,
Kicker's
indeed.
the original one.
Yeah.
Yep.
The OG.
Yep. The other ones that show up, we have Flashback, which is you can cast spells from your graveyard for their flashback cost. There's Threshold, which is do you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard? That was literally just in the last set. Prowess, whenever you play a non-creature spell, give +1/+1 to this thing. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, do a thing. And Morbid, which is that also hasn't been around in a while, which is if a creature died this turn. Just like Raid, it knows if something happened before it was on the battlefield. So if you have an end of turn trigger that's like, if a creature died this turn and your thing wasn't around for that creature dying, it's still going to know whether or not a creature died this turn.
Be interesting to make a hierarchy of the sort of like intelligence levels of the different mechanics. Like some of them know things sometimes, and some of them, you know what I mean? Like there's just
some things track only things that they can see. Some things track what the game does.
There's something there. I think I don't know
what,
but there's
we'll
something.
Let that stew. We'll
That's great.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to individual cards that might trip you up at the pre-release.
Yeah. And this is also a little lighter than usual, and most of the cards aren't that complicated. The set's designed to be playable by new players. I'm going to start with the most complicated common, I think. Witness Protection. Also one of the funnest commons. Single blue for an enchantment aura. It is an enchant creature, and it said, enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green and white citizen creature with base power and toughness 1/1 named Legitimate Business Person.
Beautiful.
This card is wonderful. I'm glad they reprinted it.
It's one of my faves. Gotta be real with you.
The reminder text says it loses all other colors, card types, creature types, and names. So if it had multiple names, there's some ways to make that happen. It loses all of them. So the thing with this is it wipes out their abilities that were put on it before it became a legitimate business person. Counters are going to apply on top of that. So if it has a +1/+1 counter, it'll be a 2/2 legitimate business person. And if it gets future abilities, say that you cast a spell that gives it flying, if that came after Witness Protection was cast on the creature, it'll gain flying.
Exactly like if you are actually in witness protection by the government or whatever, and then you get a new sweater. Well, you can wear that sweater, now
because
that you're
it's part of your new life.
Your new life. You can't wear your sweater from your old life, though.
Yeah, because people will recognize
They will recognize
like,
you.
If you have a distinct style, that style's gone. You got to get a new one. But your new one is your new one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dwynen's Elite. Green and 1 for a creature elf warrior. It's a 2/2. When this creature enters, if you control another elf, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. So Dwynen's Elite enters the battlefield. Trigger will try to go on the stack if you control another elf at that time. It'll check both when Dwynen's Elite enters and at the time it resolves. So if Dwynen's Elite enters, they can kill the other elf to get rid of your trigger. It may not come up that much, but if you have a thing that puts Dwynen's Elite directly onto the battlefield, like a collected company or whatever, they might kill the other elf in response. Incinerating Blast. This is a new card. It's a cool card. Red and 4 for a sorcery. Incinerating Blast deals 6 damage to target creature. You may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So the thing with Incinerating Blast is it has a target. If that target is gone at the time it goes to resolve, the spell will fail to resolve. So if you try to Incinerating Blast their creature and they sacrifice it to something, you don't get to discard and draw because the whole spell fails to resolve. Yep. Just that. Exactly that.
Yep. Sad day.
A sound is worth 1,000 words.
Yep.
I think that's
At least 500.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Divine Resilience is my next one. Single white for an instant. It has kicker of white and 2, so you can pay an additional white and 2 when you cast this. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. If this spell was kicked, instead any number of target creatures you control get indestructible until end of turn.
Zowie.
Yeah. This is kind of Overload, which is a mechanic from Ravnica blocks in the past, where you get to make this single target spell into an all your things spell, but it targets, so things that care about being targeted, like that they have the heroic mechanic, will get the boost from it even if you kick it. And B, you can choose not to target something of yours. If for some reason they cast a Wrath of God and you really want your creature to die so that you can get a death trigger, you can just not give it indestructible. This is weird.
It is actually.
And you'll probably have to click a bunch on Arena. This looks like it's going to be supremely annoying if you have like 10 creatures.
Maybe it'll just select them all, and then you just have to not select
you have to
them.
unclick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would actually be a pretty good interface because very likely you will want to select them all.
Call me wizards. That's the kind of ideas you can expect from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
fewer clicks. That's a good. Hey, that's a good pitch. I will make your users click less, which will make them happier.
all right, that's what I'll say in the interview.
And you'll throw in a few sound effects as well.
I
Yep.
sure will.
We got there.
Oh, we got there.
Very good. My next card is Bulk Up.
Love this guy.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to walk after this.
Yeah,
But,
those arms are big and long.
but
Are you saying like this is just his new life with those arms?
yeah, the arms are, he's going to move via the arms now.
Wow,
Oh
that
my
is
gosh, yeah,
that's a tough choice to
I don't
make.
think it was worth it, whatever happened, honestly.
Yeah. So Bulk Up is an instant for red and 1, and it says double target creature's power until end of turn. And it has flashback of red, and 4.
Sick.
You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, and you exile it when you do. So Bulk Up doubles a creature's power and toughness. That doubles it right now. If you have a 2/2 and you bulk it up, and it gives it plus X plus O, where X is its current power, is how it technically works. It'll become a 4/2. And then if you giant growth it to give it +3/+3, it's going to be a 7/5. Bulk Up is done resolving. It only sees the power that it has when Bulk Up resolves. So don't expect all your future spells to get doubled as well.
Good to know.
Cat Collector.
They finally put me on a card.
How many cats do you even have?
Just 2, but in my heart, Rob, I have all of them.
You should come to my house. I have 3.
You know that video of the girl that's crying because she wants to save all the cats in the world?
Yeah,
That's a look inside my soul.
that makes sense.
Even though apparently that was fake. Because everything on the internet's fake, apparently.
Everything's fake, but you can still have that feeling.
But that was me. Real.
Yeah.
That's real for me, is what I'm trying to say. Send help.
So you're saying that you shouldn't go down. We have a cat cafe near my house.
Absolutely
you should not go in there?
not, Rob. I have told that to people many times. I will be going home with the cat.
So Cat Collector here is white and 2. She is a 3/2 creature human citizen. When this creature enters, create a food. Food, they're in every set now. And whenever you gain life for the first time during each of your turns, create a 1/1 white cat creature token, which is super cool. The thing is that the game knows whether or not life was gained earlier in the turn before she comes down. So if you gain a life, like say that you have at the beginning of your upkeep gain a life, and then you draw and you cast Cat Collector, and then you crack the food right away, it isn't the first time you gained life that turn. You already gained that life back on your upkeep. So you won't get a cat. So
She knows.
Yeah, she knows that. The game knows. And she asks, "Is that the first time that you've gained life?" And you're like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
The game knows and she asks.
Yeah, and she asks. Battle Song Berserker. Battle Song Berserker is red and 3 for a 3/4 creature human berserker. Whenever you attack, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains menace until end of turn. And it reminds you it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Here's the deal. Battle Song Berserker doesn't say whenever this attacks. It says whenever you attack. So you play it and attack with some other creature, and that creature can get +1/+0 and gain menace. This is not immediately obvious unless you really want to think it through. It's very good though.
Yeah.
Because Battle Song Berserker never has to get into combat. He could just give his friends menace over and over. Or her friends? Her friends.
Yeah.
I can't see images apparently. So yeah, she can give her friends menace over and over. She never has to get into combat to apply this effect.
She's just so inspiring with her battle cry.
Yep.
It reminds me a lot of that Most Valuable Slayer card that was in
yes,
this one,
indeed.
which is
Yep.
similar but different.
Yep. I want to call out Overrun.
How can you not call out Overrun?
If you've never seen Overrun before,
Get
and
ready.
you get Overrun, it's green.
It's an uncommon.
Yeah, as it always has been, and it's wild as an uncommon. Green 2 for a sorcery. Creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. That's
I
it.
will lose to this at the pre-release, calling it right now.
That's the thing is Overrun's conversion rate, if you cast it, is like
100%.
Yeah, if you're casting Overrun, you almost always win the game for casting Overrun. It is. The funny thing though is putting it in your deck. It like sometimes it'll rot in your hand because triple green's hard to use or hard to make, and sometimes you're just like, well, they have more creatures than me. I can't make it Overrun. But every time you cast this card, it will feel amazing and will win you the game. And every time your opponent casts it, you'll be like, that's crap. Why does this card exist? I thought I was winning this game, and now I'm dead.
Yeah. Classic.
Yep. So be aware, Overrun exists. You're going to get Overrun in this format.
I like how even these little, whatever they are, these little tiny homunculi, I'm not quite sure,
they
are
look more
overrunning.
like birds. Like they're little like.
Oh, is that a
I
beak?
think so.
Yeah, I think those are tiny beaks.
Yeah,
They're
that's
coming
what-
at you too. So
They really are.
Don't feel
Everything's
safe.
coming for your blood.
Yeah.
Even things that don't drink blood normally.
terrifying.
Yep.
Sylvan
Sylvan
scavenging.
Scavenging.
This and Megan is on
Yeah.
this card art.
Yeah.
True.
There
Very
she
true.
is.
Yep. She really is. Green 1 for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, choose 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Or create a 3/3 green raccoon creature token if you control a creature with power 4 or greater.
Wow.
This is great. It like either buffs a thing or makes a raccoon. If you don't have any creatures, you're probably losing anyways. And that's the case where this does nothing. But the thing with this is when you choose the modes for this, and I'm sure Arena will let you do this, you can choose mode 2 even if you don't control a creature with power 4 or greater. It's just do a thing if this thing is true. It is actually not an intervening if trigger, but it does check on resolution.
Okay.
So you'll pick this, it'll go on the stack, and then they'll kill your 4 power creature, and you won't get a raccoon. Or you'll pick it because you can't do math, because you're me and you're up late at night and you're just clicking buttons. Be like, why didn't I get a raccoon? Well, that's because you didn't control a creature with power 4 or greater. You can choose that option.
Well, sometimes I just want to choose to feel something, Rob.
Yeah,
even-
sometimes you just shout raccoon.
Yeah.
And that's a fine choice, but be aware that you won't get a raccoon sometimes when you
Yeah,
shout raccoon.
even though you shouted it.
Yeah.
I know.
Doesn't seem fair, but that's life.
Yep. Ashroot Animist. This is green-red 2 for a 4/4 creature lizard druid. It has trample, and when this creature attacks, another target creature you control gains trample and gets +X until end of turn, where X is this creature's power. So, unlike the Battlesong Berserker, Ashroot Animist has to attack. The advantage of this is it's going to pick up how big it is. If you somehow have 2 Ashroot Animists, there's a couple of like copy a creature you control spells in this set. You can point 1 at the second Ashroot Animist and stack up the value, because this only determines the power and toughness it gives during the resolution of Ashroot Animist's trigger. So if you have 2, you can point 1 at the other, let the first one resolve. It'll go up to being an 8/8, and then the other one will give +8/+8 until end of turn to another creature. Or possibly back at the first Ashroot Animist. It's pretty good. You'd end up with an 8/8 and a 12/12 with just 2 of these attacking.
It's pretty nice.
Yep. The game probably ends pretty quick. Homunculus Horde.
Hey, Rob, you want to know what a homunculus sounds like?
Yeah.
It sounds like this. Hi, I'm a homunculus.
You needed a voice changer to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that was coming. to be
Yeah,
honest. That
Rob,
was, that
don't
was lobbed
remind
up
me.
there. That was lobbed up there, truly.
Rob made that voice once in a Commander Arcade episode for a long time.
Yeah, like an hour.
Yeah.
It was-
Some
it was-
say it's
Still happening.
Yep.
Yeah, some do say that.
But the Homunculus Horde here, they're blue and 3 for a 2/2 creature homunculus. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a token that's a copy of this creature. This includes this ability. It's wild.
Yeah, that's
If,
nice.
Yeah, if you can draw 2 cards, you get a second Homunculus Horde. Then the next time you draw 2 cards, you get 2 more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because each
Stacking.
one has this ability, so each one is
Yeah.
going to make homunculus hordes.
Okay.
So that's why it's a
Wowza.
homunculus horde. It grows very quickly. It's just straight up exponential growth of homunculi. You would think twice to be in your deck, so that you can just keep drawing 2 cards a turn.
Truly.
And it doesn't cost you any mana. Just
It's
make
free,
some homunculi. They're just
nice.
two idiots, but man, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Lathril, Blade of the Elves. Green black 2 for a 2/3 legendary creature elf noble. Lathril has menace, can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Whenever Lathril deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. And tap symbol, and tap 10 untapped elves you control. Each opponent loses 10 life, and you gain 10 life.
Whenever I play this card, it's my only goal.
Is to
do
10
that.
is to
Yep.
10 people repeatedly.
Yep.
And it's a doable goal. You're going to get a lot of free elves from Lathril getting through with menace. The thing that I want to call out is those elves don't have the tap symbol in the thing that you're doing with them. They could have summoning sickness. Summoning sickness means they can't attack or do things that use the tap symbol the turn they come out. They're just being tapped by Lathril.
Yeah, they're
So-
not tapping. She's tapping them.
Yeah, yeah, and so she has the tap symbol. She needs to be unaffected by summoning sickness. But those elf tokens, nah. If you give her vigilance, she can get in there and make some elves, and then immediately burn your opponent down.
A planeswalker is coming up next.
Yeah,
Ooh, ding, ding,
two
ding.
in this set. This is the fancy one. I mean, I like Chandra, but the Chandra is very straightforward. Kaido is not. Kaido is blue
Hold
1.
up. Aren't we supposed to only have one planeswalker per set? What
I don't
the-
know.
They came out and said, I think Rosewater came out and said yeah, it's mostly yes, but also people have said they maybe want more. So now we're kind of just rethinking that.
Yeah,
so I think
they got to dial it in.
was
They dialed it way
short-lived.
back.
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it was like a year.
In the grand scale of time,
I know,
Rob,
I
that is
know.
nothing.
Yeah. Kaido, Cunning Infiltrator here, though, is blue 1. Kaido is a legendary planeswalker Kaido, and it starts with 3 loyalty. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on Kaido. +1. Up to 1 target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Draw a card, then discard a card. -2. Create a 2/2 blue ninja creature.
2/1.
2/1. Sorry, I can't read. Create a 2/1 blue ninja creature token. And -9. You get an emblem with whenever a player casts a spell, you create a 2/1 blue ninja creature
All
token.
right.
So here's the deal with Kaido. That first ability is static. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that's for each of your creatures that deal combat
Yeah.
damage.
Stack quite
If,
quickly.
yeah, well, if you play Kaido and you have 6 unblocked creatures, you're probably winning the game, or
True.
you're playing Commander. And if that's the case,
And if you're me, losing the game.
but you get to put 6 counters on Kaido, then immediately -9 him post combat.
Wow.
That's fun.
You're right.
Or
So,
not.
Yeah, be aware that you can just Kaido will climb up very fast, and it will be very surprising, and this will be very swingy.
Come to me, Kaido, on this weekend, please. Thank you.
Well, I feel like, if I'm honest, I think Chandra is the one you want.
Oh, really?
In limited.
In
for
limited?
sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Chandra's got a Wrath of God staple to the ability to clone your creatures, staple to the ability to make mana.
Yeah.
She
it costs 7, but it's gonna win you the game most of the time.
Yeah.
When it goes down, I think.
Though pre-release Corey did lose
Oh no.
after casting Chandra.
Well, shoot.
Sad.
She got overrun.
Okay. Well, there you
Well,
go.
there it
yeah,
is.
that's like an irresistible
Yep.
force and an unmovable object.
So Sphinx of Forgotten Lore is blue 2 for a 3/3 creature Sphinx. It has flash, so you can cast it anytime you can cast an instant. Flying. And whenever this creature attacks, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. If something is flashback twice, you get to use either cost to cast it with flashback. So think twice normally costs blue and 1 to cast, and has blue and 2 for its flashback cost. If you target it with the Sphinx, it'll only have blue and 1 as a flashback cost. It'll have both. So you can pick. You can choose to pay 3, or you can pay 2.
I'm going to choose the cheaper cost, Rob.
Yeah. Yep. Bulk up is the same way. Suddenly you can bulk up. This might actually be really, really good with bulk up, because you can bulk up and then bulk up again.
True.
So
Keep
you
in
can
mind
actually
those
go,
arms, though. That is a choice you've made.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's a choice
And I
you're made.
assume that they're
live
getting
with it.
twice as long again, which
Yeah.
is truly then.
Yeah.
I mean, all bets are off in terms of how you would live your life.
well, it's twice of the twice, so it's like 4 times as long as your
Yeah,
initial
that's what I
arms.
mean.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's really, gosh, they're in another room. You're just chilling, and your arm is in the kitchen. You're in the living room.
That would be helpful in some instances.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but it'd be really weird.
I think
Do you get
mostly
bonus
weird.
elbows?
What?
Yeah, that's
Well,
a good
it's-
question as well.
yeah,
Are they
because-
still in the middle?
if you're-
Because then the hinge,
that's
oh my
terrible.
gosh. Yeah.
That's a great
I
point.
think your arm could just
Yeah.
easily snap from
Well-
trying to.
Well, it's like
Well,
Or it's how do you get through doors? If my arm got twice as long, it could fold up. But then if it got twice as long again, like I'd have to go through doors straight and then like fold up and It's no good.
This is not a good deal.
Man, the more we talk about it, I think let's not do that.
Keep arms the way that they are.
Yeah.
All right, we've talked it through.
Yep. Twin Flame Tyrant.
The last card on your list.
The last card on my list. Ooh. Yeah. Red 3 for a 3/5 creature dragon. It has flying, and if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage instead. This is the card that I called out with Trample. So the way that damage actually works is you go to damage. So let's say that you have a 2/2 trampling creature, and they block with a 2/2.
It's a dumb thing to put trample on, but whatever.
It got shrunk. But I want a simple example. We can make the numbers bigger. It's a 5/5 trample. They block with a 5/5.
Okay, thank you.
So you assign damage, and then so you assign 5 damage to the defending creature, and none to the player. It isn't excess damage that gets assigned. It is like mathematically the damage above what would kill that creature. So if you attack with a 5/5, they block with a 2/2. You assign 2 to the creature, 3 to the player. Twin Flame Tyrant doesn't change the way damage assignment happens. He changes how the damage that actually happens. So if you attack with a 5/5, they block with the 2/2. Your 5/5 has trample. You assign 2 to the creature, 3 to the player. Those both double. So the creature would take 4 and they would take 6.
Gotcha.
It's not good. Like damage multiplication and trample is kind of an annoying spot in the rules, but it's worse the other way. Because if it was the other way, then you would assign 5 to the creature. It would double to 10. It would trample over for 8, except that would get doubled again because it's new damage, so it would go 16. That it was that way in the rules for about a year back in 1998. It sucked.
Yeah, fair.
Don't like it. So this doesn't change how you assign damage, just how the damage is actually like it multiplies the damage that's dealt after it's assigned.
Gotcha.
So that's my stuff for Foundations. Hopefully this was helpful, or at least shed some brain light on some word things.
It for sure did that, Rob. I think what's kind of cool is that a lot of Magic players are super excited about Foundations, I think, which is unusual for a core set. I don't know if they're excited because the set is cool and there's cool new cards in it, or if they're just excited to see Magic stuff when they were so sad about Universes Beyond being expanded. But for whatever reason, I'm happy people are excited about it, and I'm excited to play it this weekend.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think that what it is they've tapped into nostalgia within Magic. They're like, we're never going to put Vampire Nighthawk in a normal set. Well, but you get Vampire Nighthawk. Man, that card's great. I remember that card. Let's play that card.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so like this set is like better power level wise than most core sets they've ever printed.
Yeah.
And so they packed it full of goodies that everybody remembers and stuff that looks cool and new, and they don't need to burn a bunch of their reprint slots on a bunch of these, normal mechanics.
Friends, it's time for your favorite segment with the release of a new set, Cutest Card and Grossest Card. Megan's not here this week, so we're going to delay Grossest Card until next week, but we must award Cutest Card as the bylaws tell us. And so the good news is there's a lot of very cute cards in Foundations.
There really are.
A cat collector I'm going to put on the list because it's adorable. How many cats does she have in this picture? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Am I missing any? There's probably a hidden cat in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Who's to say? But it's adorable. As I said, I am her and she is me. I can only hope for as beautiful of gray stripes in my hair as my hair starts to gray. I'm also going to put Hair Apparent on this list. This little bunny is very cute and regal and has a lot of brothers and sisters.
Those might be ancestors.
A lot of ancestors.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And the name of the card is A+, so I'm going to give it a shout out for that. I'm also going to give Drake Hatcher a shout out in the Cutest Card segment because it's just really adorable. There's this young girl. She's hatching a little drake in its little egg and it's screaming.
That is very cute.
And it's like, I'm bored. The horrors of the world await me. It's just a cute
Yeah,
idea.
I assume that's what that lizard is thinking.
I know what you're all thinking. You're like, when is Murray going to talk about Loot, Exuberant Explorer? And that's what I'm doing right now. Loot's going to go on the list. But Rob, what am I going to say about Loot?
It's pandering.
It is pandering.
It is
I am being pandered to
truly pandering.
in the worst way. This is pushed. This is pushed, and I will not be. My vote will not be bought. Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, he doesn't seem to have a job. He's just kind of standing there, like, posing being cute.
Yeah, I don't love the squat either. It feels like
He's squatting.
he really is.
I have a question. Like, why? Why is this so different than all the other? Are they trying to make a thing about Loot?
I feel like they definitely are.
Yeah, they're trying to have some ongoing story arc, but unfortunately,
okay.
they've randomly inserted a bunch of Universes Beyond sets,
Well, that's the thing. It's like
and so we're gonna lose track.
He makes me think that he's from Universes Beyond, but he's not.
No, he's from Big Score.
Oh, he's from Thunder Junction.
Yeah, he was when they opened the vault on Thunder
was
Junction.
in
He was
there?
the thing inside.
And
He was the
wasn't
treasure.
dead.
No, because
How long was
the
that
vault was
vault
like a magical
sealed?
stasis that contained
okay.
it was a Pandora's box that contained loot and a bunch of terrible things.
Yeah, Maria. It all
okay.
made sense.
Okay.
That's a strong explanation, like the strong description of what.
So
going on,
he's
but-
okay. I get it now. That's fine.
so
I guess
he got adopted when Jason Vraska decided to adopt him as a cat. Remember?
yes, that's right.
Because it had the
Yeah, I remember.
the far too explicit description of Jason Vraska
Yeah,
in the
I
in the
remember.
plot. Yes.
And everyone's like, all right, wizards, we see you. The other good card I'm going to give honorable mention to is Sylvan Scavenging, just because it features Megan. And what is that, a bunny rabbit?
Yeah, I would
Hanging
say
out.
so.
Scavenging is a cute activity, so thumbs up there. How can I do cutest card without mentioning Fiendish Panda, Rob?
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
This is the creature type is Bear Demon.
Yep.
Which is an adorable creature type.
I mean, yeah. Just you say it and you're like,
My
oh, wow.
only regret is that it's not some kind of legendary bear demon. I can't make it a commander.
Yeah.
I know.
I might have to make it a secret commander.
I mean, look at him. He's eating some fish.
He's got devil horns.
He's got glowing little red eyes that think about murder all day. And he is excellent. Really, really good. Fiendish Panda, almost the winner. But you know me. What am I going to pick as the cutest card for this set?
The tiny thing with a job.
Do you think? Well,
I think it's Helpful Hunter.
Helpful Hunter is, is cute, and it did murder, which is another cute activity. But unfortunately, it's not going to be the winner. The winner is the actual normal art for this set. I say I don't consider the alternate arts, but the normal art is cute, but so is the alternate art, which is even cuter, and it has a great story, which you can tell us, Rob, which is cutest card of the set. Congratulations to Preposterous Proportions.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You are the cutest card. This is the one with the squirrels that
Yeah.
are huge and taking
Yeah.
over the town. They
Yeah.
are destroying, which is another cute activity, and they are giant squirrels. What more do I want in life? Answer, nothing. The alternate art is even cuter, which has giant lemurs wreaking havoc.
Oh my gosh. I had not seen that.
Yes, and this is a callback to what's it called? Lemure or whatever.
Yeah, Helaptrus Lemure from Ice Age.
No. The card that's like they drew a lemur on it.
Yeah,
right.
Helaptrus Lemure.
Is that what it's called? Helaptrius lemure? The artist thought they meant lemur instead of lemure, and so they drew a lemur on the card.
Because a lemure is a
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
ghost
yeah.
or spirit.
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh, it's a lemur, like obviously.
Yeah.
And so Helaptrus Lemure it has this adorable little,
It's very cute.
a little flying thing. It has these, gossamer wings that can only use so much. And, if this was a Helaptrus Lemure, that would make sense. But that's not what it is. But they illustrated it and they took the art and they didn't tell Richard Thomas no because they were like, oh no, this is great. Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately wrong, but fortunately for us, still cute. So
Yes.
the alternate art version of this has giant lemurs and they're going nuts.
And I'll also say that the main version reminds me of Might of Oaks, which was when I was very young. It's a card from Urza's Legacy, +7/+7
Yep.
to a creature until end of turn, and
Yep.
it also has a giant squirrel on it.
The original Might of Oaks. This is a callback for people from the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
I
Which
love
is not it's not a
it.
good card, but when you, man,
So
you know, when I was like,
cute.
I don't know, I was like 12 years old or something, I was like, yeah, this
Well,
is.
this usually kills a player.
Yeah.
Like printing this in limited nowadays, it's a 4 mana,
Yeah.
4 mana 7 damage spell.
It being an instant is
Yeah,
pretty
that's how you
strong.
die.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's true. It's true.
Urza's legacy. You know, I didn't award a Cutest card for back then, but I would have.
You weren't even playing Magic.
You don't know that, right?
I do know that. How long have I been on this podcast with you, teaching you how to play Magic?
Touche.
Oh, that's a very cute card, Tyler. But the flavor text, the reason we know this is a callback on Preposterous Proportions, the alternate printing is, quote, I think you mean giant lemurs, a type of malevolent spirit that, oh gods, what is that? So
Very fun.
Very
Very
great
fun.
callback.
Very cute.
Thank you. Very cute. Preposterous Proportions. You're adorable. Thank you for being in this set. I will play this and then I will cast Overrun. That's my plan.
And the
I'm
fact that you have
sticking to
12 mana will not be the reason that you won.
No, God, no. It's because
It'll
I
be
did
these two spells.
my gameplay, Tyler.
Yeah.
Well, friends, that's this episode of Good Luck High Five. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks once again to Judge Rob, as always, for joining us. If you have additional questions for him, he would love it if you hit him up in the Discord server. You can just tag Judge Rob and he'll answer your questions if you're a patron. If you're not a patron, consider becoming one by going to patreon.com/GLHFmagic. And, you know, while you're on the internet, you might as well head on over to cardkingdom.com/GLHF to get whatever you need for your magical life. And Dragon Shield, their link is in the show notes or below the video. Remember to use code GLHF for 5% off because I want you to save those dollary dues. Everyone, I hope you have the best time at your pre-release this weekend. We love supporting our local game stores, and we have a fabulous one here in the Minneapolis area, which is Lodestone, which I always give a shout out to whenever anybody's like, hey, what's a great game store in your area? Lodestone, 2 thumbs up. Tyler, I'm very excited for you to have your very first pre-release experience.
Same. I also am very excited. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to you destroying all of your opponents.
Well, I don't know if that will happen or not, but I really hope there's some fun games.
I just hope both teams have fun.
Yeah.
And remember, check out that Commander Arcade that we just posted if you haven't already. YouTube.com/@GLHFCommander. It's a great time. Everyone, have awesome time at your Foundation's pre-release. We'll see you next week to talk about what we opened and how I won with Overrun plus that +10/+10. I just forgot the name of the cutest card I named.
Oh, gosh. Well, you don't look at me because I don't remember it either.
Preposterous Proportions.
Yeah, that sounds very
That
close,
sound right,
if not
everyone?
exactly right.
You know, we'll find
And
out.
we can't stop this now.
Nope.
Or to look at it because we have no ability to edit anything.